Alright, it's been a while since I've made a video, or whatever this is a video. I'd like to say that I have something prepared, a focus, but I don't exactly. There's been a couple times where I've written some poetry that I've been too self-conscious to post, or it just I don't know. Maybe did I post something and take it down? I don't know. There's the usual, even before I started recording, like why record? What's the purpose? Am I needing an ego boost? Am I looking for someone to understand or whatever? Then all the usual thoughts, of who do I feel comfortable sharing my innermost thoughts with, if that's even what these are, which they have been sometimes in the past. And then maybe as time has gone on, I've become more reluctant, I suppose. Part of the taking down most of my videos, just kind of keeping more to myself, at least as far as this channel goes. There's still been a lot of oversharing, I suppose, with just strangers at times. The old women from the internet oversharing thing. But I don't know. What do I want to say? Do I want to share? Do I want to share about recent experiences? Do I want to philosophize? One thing I know I wanted to say is I think most of us, according to whatever our worldviews are, like there's in your heart, if you want to say, at your core, what you value. You might even know what you want to do just in general with your life, but you know what you value, you know what you ought to do, we'll say, in a lot of circumstances. There might be some things that it's hard to decide which direction to go, but in a lot of ways I feel like we know. And the hard part really isn't that. The hard part is actually doing whatever those things are and doing them even when it doesn't suddenly make everything right, doing the right thing even if you're still not feeling great afterwards. Because I think a lot of times people say, you do the right thing in this or that circumstance and you'll feel good, right? You'll feel good. And that's just not always the case. I mean, of course, all this is contextual. What am I talking about? Good, bad, in what area, in what realm. But just in general, doing, okay, here are my values, here's what I care about. Just go for this thing that's good, Do engage in this pattern of behavior that I can feel proud of, let's say, or something like that. And it's easy, and it's been easy in the past. I'll hit on something like, okay, yeah, this is what I care about. This is what I want. I'm just gonna laser focus on that. I'm gonna be this person. I'm gonna block out people like this. I'm gonna be drawn to people like this. This is how I'm gonna engage in the world in a productive and healthy, maybe I even say, healthy way. And it's easy to be overcome with that. It's easy to have these sort of momentary epiphanies, but then life will smack you in the face, right? You do the right thing and you're still unhappy. You treat someone well, even if they treat you poorly, and they still don't soften up. Maybe they even treat you more poorly as a result of you being nice in the face of their mistreatment. do I go with all this? Where do you go with all this? Where do we go with this? I think, I don't know. You see if you can keep trying. You don't delude yourself into thinking that you figured it all out and that you're just, coast is clear. I just shook off those demons. It's, you're trying to army crawl. Sometimes you're trying to army crawl out of the sewage, and it's not just this clear, direct path to goodness. You're kicking off some of the zombies holding on to your ankles, but there's 20 more up ahead. And I think in some sense that's always life, right? Maybe there's periods where you can get into a sort of rhythm of relative peace and tranquility, but for most of us, most of the time, it's you shake off those zombies grabbing at your ankles, and there's some more coming up ahead, and it doesn't really end. Maybe there's a way, I don't know, to get to a place where some of that goes away or it lessens. You can get to a place of, like I was saying, like a relatively peaceful place for a while, but but I don't know. I've been in some dark places recently, I would say, and little self-destructive here and there, self-destructive behavior. Always a little bit reluctant to say that, maybe, the whole self-destructive thing, because it's not as simple as just, I just hate myself, so I'm trying to hurt myself. It's sometimes there's things that in the long run aren't good for you, but for 10 seconds there's a thrill, or just lying to yourself that the bad stuff could turn out to be good, or it could be okay. Maybe you'll transform it somehow. I don't know. Guess I'm not really getting into specifics. I'm not sure if it matters, if I do or don't, but I will say, just as far as people are concerned, I think you have to find people that make you feel good. And of course, it's not going to be all the time, but I think there's people out there that if you approach with an open, kind, loving sort of spirit, that you can find those people who are willing to give back that energy. Like I said, of course, it's not gonna. People are people, right? They're flawed. They're not egoless. They're not without their moods. But even when it comes to all this dating stuff that I do, I mean, if in this I'm wanting to reaffirm something to myself, it's like, to stop begging for openness, enthusiasm, kindness, fun, playfulness. To stop begging for it and to keep having that mentality that it's like, anytime you're begging for that from someone, you're doing a disservice to this person out there who wants to provide that will be happy to accept your good qualities and your love and provide their love back to you without the begging, without the convincing, without the philosophizing that the goodness and just the way that they value you is just there. And what they want is what you want, more or less. And maybe a lot of times, for me at least, and I'm sure a lot of other people, of course, that feels maybe like just a dream. Maybe we should feel defeated. Maybe we do feel defeated. But I think it's necessary to believe that it's out there. It's almost just like the idea of principles, right? Oh, where are the principles? Which principles should you... Is it objective? Is it subjective? Sometimes you just have to hold on to certain things. You have to hold on to a certain kind of hope, a certain kind of adherence to values, to strive towards those, regardless of, whether or not, is it real, is it true, could it happen, is it not out there? You have to exist in the world as if the goodness is there. And as far as settling in life, settling on a person, there's all sorts of things that I preach about. People should be less picky. I should be less picky about this and that. We don't need to settle on the goodness in someone's heart and soul, especially if we're willing to work on our own goodness, and if we're willing to put that out into the world, and just to wait until that comes back to us. Even if we wait until the end of time, I think it's better than the alternative.